Yeah, I think it's terrific. I think our players enjoyed it. I think they handled it the right way. They know it means something, but it certainly doesn't mean everything. It means that you know what we did last year is kind of resonating with people, but it doesn't necessarily affect what we do this year. But I think it gives them an idea of a greater focus that they'll probably have and more responsibilities, and so that's a good thing I think to get the year kicked off, so they kind of have an idea what it might be like.
What was just kind of the first conversation like getting everyone back together and just getting ready for the season? What's kind of new with everyone?
Yeah, well, there'll be a little bit of that today. I mean, I think we had them in June and a little bit at the beginning of July, but that's really kind of where we did more team stuff than really what we've done in the last month. I like to let my assistant coaches have a lot of time with them in September, so that those coaches can get a stronger voice, and our players can get used to being around them and hearing from them, and then it also delays them hearing from me for about another month, which I think can sometimes be a good thing. So we'll kind of hit on that today, and over the next month get into that a little bit more. But I think they recognize that we have a lot back, and we have a great practice environment. I think that's the thing that's exciting to me, is we have a practice gym every day where people are going to get pushed to get better.
Has it dawned on you that you have 3 decades of players you've coached in this gym, right?
3 decades of players, yeah. No,
Chevy was
that's a good one. That's a good one. Yeah, I mean, it's neat. I think it's fun to have Chevy back. I mean, she's just so easy to get along with, and so level-headed most of the time. And Carly, just have those guys, and then Jenny as director of ops, and Connie. It's it's a lot of fun. I feel like there's an affection for this place when you have that many former players on staff, and I think it comes through in a lot of different ways. It's not just on the practice court. In our meetings, or when we're talking about how we can promote the program. I mean, there's just a little bit more buy-in.
What do you attribute that to? Is that just the culture you built here in your long tenure? Or?
Well, I think it's that, but it's that Connie and Jenny and Carly and Chevy all have an affinity for this place, and an experience with this place too. I mean, they know what this place was a long time ago, and 15 or 20 years ago, and 5 or 10 years ago, and I have that perspective too. So it's you try to build on the things that have worked, and you try to reassess the things that haven't worked. And I think that's the value of having been here a long time, is you kind of throw out the stuff that isn't working and try to find something new, but you keep a lot of what's worked.
Do they ask you more basketball questions these days, or more parenting questions?
Definitely not the parenting questions. I think they all have that figured out, probably more than I do. But and it's good to have people who are confident in their voice too. I feel like Carly and Chevy are not as young as they were, and therefore they have maybe just a little bit stronger voice than they had even a couple years ago, and that's a good thing, because it's hard to be good, and if you don't bounce ideas off each other and push each other to get better as a staff, then particularly with this team, this is a team that has a high ceiling, and I feel like you can't be complacent about things that can push them to get better.
I know you're in the thick of it, right? So you're trying to.
Right.
You're probably not reflecting at this point of the year, but I don't know. Does it hit you that the history of your time here is kind of all over? It's hard to.
It's all over.
Like, I mean, your name's on the court. You know what I mean? Young playing on
A
the
younger,
ball.
yeah.
You have players who you coached who are now parents and coaches themselves, and then obviously you have this generation of players that you're coaching as well. And then you have Connie, who you coached under,
Yeah.
back on your staff. Like, has it hit you that you're kind of going through this journey with a lot of people that you've been around for a long time?
Yeah, I think there's a recognition that you're surrounded by people who have helped you be who you are and where you are and stay where you are. I mean, I think one of the things that I think keeps me young is that I have a comfort level with the people with whom I work. I think when you have that, when you're not fighting that every day and you enjoy it, that helps to keep you younger, especially when you've been somewhere a long time. Because when you've been somewhere a long time, the tendency is to maybe get stale or not, maybe not be quite as enthusiastic about it. But when you are around people who are, really good people who kind of know the place and push you, that to me can kind of keep you young, or me young.
Does that motivate you to go for more? Like I know last year, an Elite Eight runs.
Yeah,
It's at that point, there's only two more steps to talk about, right? Like,
yeah.
the fact that you're with people who, I don't know, keep that kind of Creighton pride in you, does it motivate you to wake up early and on the phone and, doing what you did as a scout, as opposed to just kind of resting on job well done?
Yeah, I think there's some of that, but you also want to be careful that I think it's I think you still have to have a balance, because I think in order to be the best for the players, you also have to kind of take care of yourself and not kill yourself. And that doesn't mean you don't work hard, but you also want to come to practice and be rested and in the best place you can be. So, but certainly it is helpful. I think that I feel like there are fewer reasons to check out here and there, because you are lifted up by the people around you who kind of know you too, and like they know if I'm a little bit grumpy or whatever, and they can kind of lift me out of that, or if I'm and they're good about saying that. It's like, so and so needs a pat on the back, and sometimes that means that I need to be a little more positive, believe it or not, man. Yeah.
What else do you think, when you look back on the other things that could have maybe helped you guys?
Well, I think the experience that we have had the last 2 years is really helpful. I've talked a lot about what we had 2 years ago, because we had a lot of things go poorly 2 years ago. I mean, we had, injuries on top of COVID issues, and I think we really were able to build because we had so many freshmen who got to play and get better and overcome some things. And I think that really showed up last year, because I think we overcame things a little bit easier because of the positions that we were put in 2 years ago. And I think that'll be kind of a message this year too, is that, you have a greater capability to get yourself out of things because of what you've gone through the last 2 years. 2 years ago, just to get to kind of mediocrity, and then last year to get to excellence. And the goal would be to be a little bit better early in the year, maybe because we're a year older, and not that we weren't good early, but I feel like, this team has a little bit higher ceiling early in the year than last year's team, whereas last year's team got better and better. I think this year's team can have a starting point that's a little bit better, and therefore you hope that our ending, or where we end up, is even better. Yeah, I think there's that's an interesting question, because I do think when you don't get off to a good start, your urgency gets cranked up a little bit, whereas, winning tends to make you think you have it figured out, and you don't usually ever have it all figured out. And I think, I do think that this team, like I said, I think we have a great practice situation. So I'm anxious to just see how we compete every day in practice because we're an older team and typically, we've got kids who aren't necessarily going to get in front of the camera as much, but they know what they're doing and they're going to push the kids that you guys are going to talk about more. They're going to push them every day, and that I think again that creates a team that maybe has even more resiliency and has a chance to be even better than last year's team. So.
Yeah, I mean, it took quite a while for it to all kind of like sink in and to come down from cloud nine, but I think with us being able to work out a lot over the summer together, kind of focus on not letting that be kind of a Cinderella story or like a one-shot kind of team, but creating that legacy of maybe getting back to that point has given us so much more kind of encouragement and confidence going into this season, and not forgetting about last season, but using it as almost like a motivating force.
On a similar note, I guess, what's the momentum feel like coming into the season?
Yeah. Oh, it feels great. I mean, after the tournament was over, he came back, finished school, and then everyone on the team stayed voluntarily the whole summer. So we were required to be here for 4 weeks for team workouts, but then when the coaches left and did all the recruiting and whatnot, we all stayed together, put on our own workouts, did our own pickup and stuff. So that kind of like led into the upcoming of this season, just having so much time together, having so much time on the court, and building that chemistry even more so than we had last year, I think made us even more excited for what we're being able to do right now and actually starting and seeing a game coming up. So the momentum was great, and I don't think it's really stopped.
I don't know. What brings you to play? I mean, last year couldn't have been
Right.
scripted any sweeter if we were like, are you kidding me?
Mm-hmm.
Why do you think what makes you wake up in the morning? What makes you go to the gym?
Right. I think it's kind of my mindset towards it is kind of also the mindset of the team. Like, it was a great story. It was amazing. It couldn't have been scripted better, like you said. But that doesn't mean we're no longer satisfied to get more or to go farther. So that's kind of my mindset. I know that's the mindset of the team. Just because last season was so great doesn't mean like, okay, let's close the book now. It means like, okay, let's keep writing then. Like, we already built on that. We have great people coming back. So why not use that and push us even farther and try to make an even deeper run? Yeah, I mean, South Carolina, obviously an incredible team, ended up winning the whole thing. It kind of showed us a little bit less based in like skill and effort, more based in like drive and character and grit, I think. We were down, we ended up winning by a considerable amount, but I think you still saw players fighting until the very end. We didn't kind of lie down and let them just run through us. We were still giving effort. We were still giving 100% to a loose ball or a rebound or whatnot. And I think that kind of shows the true character of the people on this team. And it was a very big disappointment for us, but it was also a great learning experience and a great way for us to see, hey, my teammate's still going hard even though there's 20 seconds left and we're going to lose by 30 or whatever it may be. So that kind of just speaks to the team, and it gives you that extra respect for your teammates, and you kind of want to get back on the court with them. Like, we all wanted to get back out the next day and play, even though our season was over. So I think it was good for us kind of to see what that next level of basketball is like, and having them winning the championship was incredible, and we saw like the kind of team and the skill that they were. And saw, we were at the same level as them. We were in the same game as them. So why not work extra hard this offseason, work harder next year, and maybe make that kind of more of a fighting match of that game.
How immediately, almost immediately after that was all done, you guys got back on the channel and then rest and relax and didn't celebrate it. Like, you didn't walk around like big shots, kind of just.
No. It didn't surprise me really, because I think a big part of the culture of Creighton and the culture of our team is we're not super flashy. We don't do crazy moves, one-on-ones, whatnot. But there's a lot of substance to our team, and there's a lot of heart. There's a lot of gym rats that literally you cannot pull them out of the gym. So it wasn't surprising to me at all, and it honestly made that process so much easier because it didn't feel like there was a big letdown afterwards and we were just done. Like the next week, we're back in the gym, and so it felt like it was almost a continuance of what we were building on rather than like a hard stop.
I guess you're seeing how you shaped up against South Carolina. I guess what's the film like going to the non-conference? It's a tough schedule around.
It is.
Like Stanford and UConn and like succession.
Yeah. I think it'll be a great challenge for us. Having Stanford on the schedule was very exciting for all of us. Nobody was really, scared, or not that we don't have incredible respect for them and their program and what they've built. But it was great to see us be able to compete at that level at the end of the year last year and kind of take that as a next step into using that in our non-conference and using that earlier on in the season so that we were getting that experience against great teams so that when we get to the end, when we are able to play back in the tournament and play these really great teams, that we have some experience with the higher level teams that tend to be top 5 every year. Yeah, I would say that the attention's great. I mean, it's great for us to have our program and our coaches and our alum get attention for being part of Creighton basketball. But once it comes down to us getting in the gym, nothing has really changed. We do the same things, we work on the same things. You're not going to see a difference of style just because we made it to the Elite Eight this past year. So I think you're going to see a very similar Creighton team, and now that we've kind of seen the success that has, we're going to really stay true to that and try to just notch it down a little bit more and get a little bit better so that we can hopefully take it further next year. I told him to be himself, and he was. That's my comment on that. No. He threw on the jacket, he buttoned it up, and he was ready to go. We had to wait for him to get back, but it ended up being, I think everything that Autumn was looking for. So, yeah.